Extra Time, driven by Continental, April 18th starts right now. And we have Sam Stejskal all the way down from Boston to say goodbye.
First
goodbye,
time, long
Sam.
time.
Don't go.
Goodbye. Don't go, Sam. Don't go. We also talked to
Short
Cristian
but sweet.
Roldan. What was the highlight, Doyle?
Cristian Roldan is not a cat person.
Oh.
No, he's not. But he is a Matt Doyle person, and he's building a planter, and he's going to tell you all about how the Sounders are good, the U.S. national team are building, and why his favorite brother might not even be his biological brother. Extra Time starts now. Oh, from New York, you are listening to Extra Time, driven by Continental from the AT&T MLS studios in Midtown Manhattan. I am Andrew Wiebe with my partners in soccer, Susannah Collins, Matt Doyle, and the bird dog. A last hurrah.
Nope.
It's more of a howl.
That one I think was better than the two previous
I
attempts.
tried that a couple times. That was... You
Still
thought that
no.
was better?
I was on the edge of my seat.
Okay, that was
waiting
more of a
in anticipation.
werewolf.
You're the bird barking aesthetic. You're getting there, I think.
Yeah.
a little more work.
Is he, though?
Am
Is
I?
he?
Sam Stejskal, the
Just let him
bird
keep
dog.
going.
He's leaving us in a massive transfer to the Athletic. Major League Soccer, soccer.com, and Extra Time are happy to announce that we now have Tam.
Addition by subtraction.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Ooh.
That was a locker
Poetry,
room
Doyle.
cancer for sure.
We didn't even let you in the locker room until we already sold you.
You
so
didn't.
that ought to
Well,
tell you a lot.
you didn't actually.
How do you feel about this, Susanna?
Oh,
from a sort of afar.
Initial reaction, I was gutted
Who's Sam?
because
Yeah. Who?
What? Bird dog, what? No, I was really bummed because I read everything you write, and then I realized wait, I can still read Sam's stuff.
Just not
it's
for-
not going
just not
anywhere.
for free anyway.
Exactly. But I am already a subscriber.
You will remember.
Guys,
Susanna,
what
back
is
off.
going
Just
on?
back off.
He's having a moment.
Don't let your light.
No.
Not even close.
Oh, God.
Not even close.
God, gotta
No.
stick in my octave.
Oh.
Sam, you're off to the Athletic. We have some mail for you. Hot Take Hotline says, goodbye, Bird Dog. You will be missed.
Yeah.
So the branding of
Means a
Bird Dog really took off, and will
I want to
always
know
be
what happens to
appreciative.
the theme song.
Ah.
Who gets the rights to those?
We'll give that to you. That's yours.
For free?
Yeah, for free.
Wow, you're
absolutely for free.
So you drive a tough bargain,
do.
but okay.
Clark, well, we got so much on the initial transfer that this is just a throw-in. You know, this is like a bag of balls. Clark Lawrence says, has the Bird Dog actually been a better TAM signing than Lucas Milano?
Well, Lucas Milano was actually a designated player signing.
Well,
There you go.
Then it's settled.
I think that
You're a
answers
better
your
TAM
question.
signing.
Question is invalid.
We got a big show coming up for you as well. Not just a farewell to the Bird Dog, Sam Stejskal. Week 8 preview coming your way. LAFC Seattle is the big game, but there's a bunch else to dig into here. We will also talk to Cristian Roldan about that and the U.S. national team and his bromance with Jordan Morris and many other things, so stay tuned for that as well. Dave and Bobby are in Frisco at GA Cup. They've been having a blast. Apparently, they've sent over an epic segment for us that I've
God.
not been allowed to watch. Producer Anders refused to let me watch it, but he says we must watch it live, so we'll see how we react to that. And then, after 2 weeks of forgetfulness, the black trash bag of swag for MLS Fantasy Extra Time League winners is back, so we'll dip in that twice, a little double dip for you. Should we get to it? Yeah?
Let's get to it.
Let's do it. All right, Week 8. It started midweek. Vancouver Whitecaps, LAFC. Yeah, it's in Vancouver. You figure LAFC, undefeated. LAFC rolling everybody. LAFC, a juggernaut, are going to roll Vancouver. And it was going to be extra interesting because Marc Dos Santos is the former assistant to Bob Bradley, and he still hasn't won a game in Major League Soccer before this. Well, wouldn't you know it, they won. 1-0. Wang Bump gets the goal. A nice goal. Dear Diary, says the Hot Take Hotline, Vancouver LAFC is why MLS is the most beautiful game of darts in the soccer universe.
Darts soccer?
Yeah, darts.
Okay.
Yeah, we're mixing it all together. Doyle, what happened in this game?
It felt a little bit like a trap game from LAFC's perspective. They didn't look up for it. They didn't look super engaged. And part of that is short rest. Part of it is maybe looking ahead a little bit to the game against the Sounders. Part of it was they were missing a bunch of starters. They had 2 new fullbacks, and Walker Zimmerman appears to be hurt maybe. He picked up a knock and left this weekend's game a little bit early. So all of that combined with Vancouver very much being up for it. And Marc Dos Santos made a good change in this one. They've been playing ultra defensively the last 3 weeks or so because they had such a bad start that I don't think he was confident in their defensive shape. So he moved Wang and Baum out to the wing, got a third defensive midfielder on. This game, he moved Wangenbaum back inside, and he played with Jordi Reyna as kind of a false 9 and played with 2 true PC on one side as kind of a winger and then a true winger on the other side. But getting Mbaum back central gave them a little bit more of the ball, the ability to do stuff through central midfield they had been missing. I think he caught Bob Bradley off guard a little bit, and it worked. And Vancouver absolutely deserved that win.
How's it been going for them on the rebuild? Sam, I think you did a column for MLS on this one.
Yeah, I think I did one before the season started. It's very much a work in progress, right? It's pretty incomplete. They changed. They had fewer returning players than FC Cincinnati did this season.
Wow.
And they had a new head coach. So, and they didn't get all that extra allocation money that Cincinnati got. So, in some ways, they're more of an expansion team than even the expansion team is, which is kind of a wild thing to say. So, it's going to take a while, right? I think you've seen some promising signs from Marcos Santos.
They've shut out Seattle and LAFC.
Yeah, no, I think you've seen some really promising signs, and I think they can go into that D block and they can make things difficult for two of the best teams in the league in Seattle and LAFC. But at the same time, I don't think I'm out of bounds if I'm saying they need more talent to be a real serious contender.
Or they need the talent that they signed to actually produce. Ardaiz has had moments.
They need both. They need both.
I mean, Bangura
has had
Venuto,
moments.
you haven't even really seen at times for them. Eric Godoy's hat is. Are you the same as I am sometimes now? I mean, I used to be a midweek MLS aficionado, but I had to go back and watch the condensed highlights this morning because now I'm sleeping. So I'm wondering if this is a CCL fever spot for you, Susan.
Oh, no. I love the midweek.
Oh, good.
Bring them on.
Nothing like Wednesday night 11 p.m. kickoffs. Right?
Listen, no, it's great. I'm up. There's nothing else on. So it's
true.
This is when I do my best work, my best thinking. But I think, a couple weeks ago we were talking about Vancouver and I was saying how we weren't sure who they were. To Sam's point, it was kind of like, what is their identity? And I think this game against LAFC, we kind of saw the start of what they could be and where the direction that they want to go in. And that is certainly progress, and that is certainly encouraging for Vancouver fans. And yeah, you're shutting out teams like LAFC and Seattle, who are just potent on the attack. I mean, that is what you build on. You know?
Yeah, and to do it with playing Mbum in his natural spot, which I think is a central midfield, kind of a creator, more of a modern playmaker type of guy. That's what would reassure me the most about this from a Vancouver point of view, because they got the shutout and they didn't do it just by parking the bus. They actually had guys out there trying to play. It was really encouraging.
It was fun it was a fun team to watch last night, and I was very that was encouraging. I was like, oh, I'm enjoying watching this Vancouver side right now.
A little bit of Wednesday night action. There's a lot more to come. This year's got a lot of midweek action in it. So I'm going to do a good sell job on my fiance so I can get that on the TV.
Wednesday night weebie.
Yeah, exactly. Doing the dishes, putting the baby.
I had a little glass of wine. It was perfect.
That sounds wonderful.
Oh, it was, you guys. It was delightful.
Friday night is going to be a night for that.
Wonderful.
A little bit of MLS times. If you're of age,
Nearness to football
beverages, because it's a three-peat. You've got Cincinnati,
Trevento.
RSL getting a start at 7:30 p.m. You got Toronto FC in Minnesota at 8. And LA Galaxy Houston at 11, and probably halfway through that game is when you switch to the brown stuff, as we often call it here on Extra Time.
What are you talking about?
I don't even know what I'm talking
dark.
about, to be honest with you. LA Houston, though, guys, is the game, I think. It's on UniMas. You can watch it live on Twitter as well if you're just rolling around and you just need to have something like commuting. I don't know what you do at 11 p.m. on a Friday. It's probably more exciting than what I do. This is a revisiting of a choke job.
Oh.
This is revisiting Decision Day presented by AT&T last year when everybody, including us, thought that the Galaxy were going to the playoffs.
Including the Galaxy.
Mike Petke said it was going to take a miracle to get RSL into the playoffs.
And when you know it, the Dynamo are miracle workers.
They were that time.
They were. And I'm not saying this is a miracle,
At
but
least
they are
Manotas.
unbeaten right now. That's not a miracle. They've been pretty darn good. LA look better, no doubt about that. So instead of it being just a test for Houston who go on the road, it's a test for both, Sam. I mean, even the Galaxy here have something to prove.
Yeah, I'm a big-time Houston stan, maybe.
Really?
Yeah. I'm
What
at
are we ranking? New Who or Houston?
Well, New Who is always at the top.
Got it.
And always will be. That's a dumb question. But, yeah, I mean, Mauro Manotas and Alberth Elis are two of the most exciting attackers in the entire league. Mauro Manotas is such a good illustration of what I don't want to say small market. Houston is not a small market. Small budget teams have to do to succeed, right? They buy him low, they bring him in, they let him develop for a few years, let him percolate, let him incubate, get him some time in USL down with RGV Toros down in there in South Texas, and bring him up to MLS maybe a little slower than even they could have. But when they brought him up, all he's done since is score goals. And now his value is through the roof. He's got European interest. He had some this winter. And if they so choose, they'll be able to sell him for a huge profit at some point down the road, assuming he continues his trajectory. So I think that's an awesome model for a team that doesn't spend a lot of money like Houston. I really like their attack. Their backline, I think, still has some question marks. But I like their team. I enjoy watching them. And I'm excited to see this game because the Galaxy are rolling right now.
They've been much deeper this year. It needs to be said that they did a nice job this offseason getting Kiki Struna in at center back. And, Minor Figueroa has apparently found the fountain of youth because I thought he was cooked 2 years ago. And he's been good.
He's still hitting 100-mile-an-hour shots, too.
Yeah, I mean, that one that he banged off of the woodwork this past weekend would have been goal of the season. There's a lot to like about this team, but they have had the softest schedule in the world through a month.
A lot of home games.
A lot of home games. Their one road game was, I'm blanking, it was at Colorado, and we know that Colorado had some troubles, we'll say, early on this season.
That was a 4-1 win.
To be fair to Houston, though, they've had a soft MLS schedule, but they looked pretty good against Tigres, I thought.
They didn't score.
They didn't
really
score.
Threaten,
they didn't. Yeah,
but they didn't lose 10-2 either. So that's pretty good.
We're grading on a curve here.
No, they didn't look terrible against the Tigres team that is clearly one of the two best in North America. There's a lot to like about Houston. This is a huge test. It should be a fun game because I think both these two teams are much more comfortable attacking than defending. Like both can defend better than they did, but both like.
Well, I was just going to say, so these are two kind of similar teams in terms of like their attack is great. They can score goals, but defensively there's always a little bit of question. So, we could see a ton of goals in this game, and I'm not mad about it.
No. The nice thing, Susannah, is I'm sitting here listening to him talk about Mara Manotas and like small budget striving, and here's what the Dynamo can be, and they can be, and they're doing it, and it's wonderful. On the other side, the Galaxy this week, Guillermo Barcelotto is comparing Zlatan to Messi and Ronaldo and then doubling down on it, which why not at this point? And I'm reminded that Zlatan is 37 and he's doing what he's doing. Like it's two teams that might feel a little bit similar. Again, the Galaxy have 5 wins and a loss, so they're almost on that unbeaten. But it's the Galaxy at home. This is a game they'll expect to win.
Just like decision day last year.
Oh,
I mean, Alberth Elis versus Jorgen Skjelvik. Who you got?
It depends on in what.
The over.
Wait, the Galaxy right now, what do you see? What stands out to you? Because I feel like sometimes it's easy to be blinded by Zlatan, by his quotes, by his larger-than-life sort of persona. And behind him, you have a team that's playing really, really well.
But that's all they need to do. I mean, like, they just need to kind of be okay because you do have this, like, bright, shining light in Zlatan. And how many goals does he have right now? Is he on, like...
I think it's 43.
A million, bajillion. I know he's second in the Golden Boot race right now. But when you have a guy like that who is just... offensively, he's gonna score a ton of goals. You just need the guys behind you to kind of facilitate him, and they're doing that. They've kind of been really successful in designing this entire offense around that big guy in right up top. And so when all the parts are working, and defensively they've kind of shorted up a little bit, you're going to get good results, and it's shown this year. And so I think as long as Zlatan's always going to steal the headlines. Yeah. That's not going to change. Like while he is wearing a Galaxy uniform, that is who we're going to be talking about, and I think they're absolutely fine with that as long as he keeps scoring.
I have a question for you guys. Are we talking enough about their midfield three, Jonah Dos Santos?
No,
and
probably not.
I don't think so. Corona hasn't got the headlines. But I went and looked because I was looking for James Sands' numbers, and we'll get to that in a second. Jonah Dos Santos has been like near perfect.
Yeah, he's been a lot better.
He's been like if you look at the underlying stats, like passes, where the passes are coming, tackles, recoveries, interception, all that stuff. I mean, he's not losing the ball. He's popping up in doing the
He looks
defensive.
engaged.
Yeah, he looks like happy too, and it's kind of incredible to see because his brother's not there, and everybody told everyone that was the key, that these two together and them like having their brotherly love was the key to the Galaxy, and it's I don't know, it's not.
Sometimes
really
you gotta set family free to really let it.
Gotcha. Eric from Fort Worth, who should the Dynamo go after when they sell Alberth Elis?
Oh, golly.
Should they go big name,
Another
or
winger.
should they go Central American, South American, a la Elis, and spread the wealth to several players? and
Sam
spots?
mentioned this, at the top of this discussion, that Manotas has accrued a lot of European interest, and they'll sell him at a profit eventually, most likely. And Elis, it looks like it's happening even sooner. Like, everybody expects him to be gone this summer, right?
I don't know about this summer.
Really?
Well, I mean, that's the interesting thing, right? It's the kind of eternal conflict with MLS and selling players. It's, do you sell in the summertime and maybe tank your season a little bit, or
Right.
do you try and wait until winter? And the other part of that is do you bet on these guys to continue to have success in the second half and maybe
Right.
raise their value even more? But then you get into the January market, it's a little more depressed.
Well,
The summer
isn't
market,
the-
there's a whole million factors.
I mean, how much does it matter though, like where Houston are in the standings at that point? Like if they're right up there, like are you?
Yeah, I think that
really
would matter a
gonna-
lot.
I mean,
yeah.
do you really want to
Like
get rid
if
of your
you're fighting
best
for
goal scorer?
7th or you're fighting for 2nd or
Right.
1st, I think there's a big difference.
Yeah.
It does make me think, though, of the 2016 FC Dallas team, who was a great team, and then they had to sell Fabian Castillo. They didn't want to, but they eventually sold him. They still won the Shield. They still won the U.S. Open Cup, and they maybe would have
they
done
lo-
the treble.
Mauro Diaz got hurt, but
Yeah.
they lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, because Mauro Diaz got hurt. It
I
wasn't
miss Mauro
because
Diaz.
of Fabian Castillo being. So they're like, it's going to be an interesting test for Houston as a franchise this summer, whether they hold on to these guys. If they don't, how they replace him, and whether the foundation that they've built is strong enough to continue as a pretty good team in this league, even when Elis and or Manotas are gone.
They got a young Venezuelan in behind Manotas at striker who's kind of doing the same thing, like sitting and waiting.
Ronaldo.
International. Yeah, we'll see what happens there.
That's his name.
Atlanta, Dallas, Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern. Speaking of Dallas, this one's on ESPN, so you have some MLS on ESPN on Saturday. Atlanta won in New England, and by God, they're back, baby. Or are they? What do we think? Are they back?
Sam saw it in person.
He did.
Go ahead,
Did.
Sam.
I was
dose of
at
Marco.
Gillette Stadium for that game.
Nice.
Let
And
me
what did
tell
you
wow.
see? What did you see from Atlanta?
I saw a confident Ezekiel Barco. It was the rare double sub where he came on for an injured Darlington Nagbe early in the game, and then
subbed him off
got taken off. But it wasn't like a punishment thing. It was like, good job, Ezekiel. Way to go. Good game. I don't know if I've ever seen that before, actually, which is kind of interesting. But if they have a confident Barco who's playing well and playing up to his capabilities, that's such a huge thing for them. They didn't have that last year for the most part.
No.
And if they can get that this year, and if PT can get things going here, then they're an entirely different team, right? And all this angst and consternation we felt about Atlanta over the first almost 2 months of their
I
season.
don't know if I felt angst about it.
Yeah, by the way, it was Remedi.
There was some. Oh yeah,
Over Nagbe.
sorry, yeah.
Can I just say
Thank you.
this? Actually, maybe Pity Martinez might be the least important of their attackers to get going first, because he's got to figure it out. I know I'm blowing your mind right now, but think about it this way: Hector Villalba was basically a non-factor to start the season, and he was at times
didn't
last
play.
year.
He wasn't playing,
right, and
yeah.
at times last year he was coming off the bench. Okay, so you move on from Almiron, and by that I mean you get a bunch of millions of dollars. Joseph's not necessarily playing up to his capability.
I think he'll get it going.
I
He
think
should have
so
had
too.
like
I
3
think so too.
goals
But
in
if
that
those
game
three
against
get it
England.
going,
yeah.
and Pity Martinez has literally no pressure to be the man, and he can just kind of find his spots, integrate in, and play off of that, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine.
They have all the talent in the world. But the De Boer question is still a question. And I'm looking at you, and only because you were shaking your head and acting
Well, he
like I was an
changed
idiot.
formation a little bit this weekend, and I think it worked well.
He's changed formations several times now, right? There was a 3-4-3 to start the year. There was a 5-3-2 at one point. There was a 4-3-3 that he started this game in. And then when Remedi got hurt, it became a 4-2-3-1. Is he going to stick with it? They had one other really good game already this season. They crushed Herediano 4-0. And everybody thought, oh, it's okay. Atlanta's going to be fine. And then he changed everything up again. They beat
Monterrey.
Monterrey 1-0. And we know Monterrey is a really good team. And everybody thought, oh, okay, Atlanta's figured it out. They're going to be fine. The next week, they changed it up. Like, we don't know.
We'll see. We'll see if he sticks with it, right?
We don't know that anything that happened in this New England game is going to be repeatable.
And then there's the whole caveat as well that New England are
I knew it was
not
coming.
in a good place.
New England is struggling right now.
Yeah. Like,
So
just rinse and repeat.
I almost feel like it's not even worth talking about Atlanta anymore until we see what they do against Dallas.
Okay, fine. We can do that.
Woo!
We're monitoring their vitals. Can we just put it that way? We'll monitor the vitals. We'll move on. That better bird dog than I dropped, I got to tell you. 4 p.m. Eastern on ESPN, Atlanta and Dallas. Of course, Paxton Pomacle's hype train chugs along, so you can watch him in that game as well. Because I'm a hater, according to NYCFC fans, I did not include James Sands in my 5 MLS teenagers that I'm excited about.
How dare you?
I know, and I told him there's no logic in this. It's not about who's most talented or who's most accomplished. It's literally just this very second, if I had to name 5 names, that I'm just watching because I'm a nerd.
There's no logic at all.
No.
Just
Very
like you
little.
just pick the
With
names
your
out of a
heart.
hat.
What
What is
would
your-
Well, I guess there is. It's more emotional.
Take some
than it is
responsibility.
legit.
Take some accountability.
I'm
for your
trying
actions.
to, but you're interrupting me. I'm trying to. I didn't name James
gotta get
Sand.
it in
That's
today.
what it comes down to. I didn't name James Sand. He's an 18-year-old. He's the first ever homegrown signing in NYCFC history. He's started all of their games so far this season, all 6 of them. The first 5 at D-mid, the last one in a 5-man back line against Minnesota. I was at that game. I thought he was really, really good. It was a crazy game, though. It was 3-3, so, not exactly one you hang your hat on, but because they got under my skin here, I went and looked it up, and he's basically at the top of pretty much every defensive measurement right now for NYCFC, whether it's interceptions, duels won, tackles won. He's 3rd in successful passes. He's tops in pass completion. He's been good. He's been good. They have not been great, but that's probably why they're in my mentions, right? Because they can't talk about wins. They have to talk about James Sands. But now we're going to give him his due. I'm just saying.
Enter Sandman.
You
the segment.
Wait, did you interviewed him after
I did
the game?
and he's an awesome kid.
Yeah.
And he's still a kid, and he's handling business. He's also much larger than I expected him to be. Because when they signed him at like 15, 16,
He was like 5'9".
15 or 16, and now he's looks like a legitimate defensive midfield destroyer.
Well, you said defensive midfield. I think I like him better as a center back. He has good, not great feet. He has good, not great 360-degree vision. He's a guy who I think is going to end up being a little more comfortable with the game happening in front of him. So I liked what I saw from him this past weekend. As you said, they started in a 5-man back. Then after halftime, they went to a back 4, and he was a center back in that. He showed well. I think he's got a lot of potential at either spot. I think his potential is higher as a center back.
Interesting. What about U20s?
So that's the thing. He hasn't been part of Tab Ramos's camps. He hasn't. I don't expect him to get called in for the U20 World Cup, which is happening next month. Maybe he should be. He's starting professional games for a team that's not playing well, but is still playing at a good level.
A lot of other guys in the pool can't say that.
A lot of other guys in the pool can't say that. Chris Richards got signed for $7 million, bought for 7 figures from FC Dallas by
right? 7 figures. How many figures?
by Bayern Munich, which is good, but he's still playing against children. He's still playing in the U19s. Mark McKenzie was great last year and is the captain of that team. He only got on the field for the first time for Philadelphia this past weekend. Now he'll go 90 this coming weekend because Austin Trusty's out. But if you're going to base it upon club form, James Sands has a real argument that he should be there with the US U20s.
James Sands, remember the name. He's playing really well right now. NYCFC are still looking for their first win. DC is where they'll head this weekend on Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern. That one's also on ESPN, so keep your eye on the youngster, whether he's playing center back or defensive midfield. He's been really good so far. Before we get to Cristian Roldan and LAFC Seattle, ESPN Plus Game of the Week time for Week 8. Susannah, get us started. What do you got?
Woo! Columbus, Portland. The Caleb Porter revenge game. Although I'm very interested because Sam was talking before we started shooting, and you said it was a conscious uncoupling between Caleb Porter and
just
Portland.
like
So
Gwyneth
it's not.
Paltrow
There's
and
not
Chris
like
Martin.
it's not just sheer animosity here. But we know Caleb Porter wants to go in like just win.
Of course.
Just win.
How many years did he spend there?
5.
5?
How many up and downs were there?
Every
A
year.
lot.
Every year.
Yeah. So,
Alternate.
I mean, he has something to prove here. And right now, Portland's in a clear down.
They've not won a game. They've
No.
not won a game.
Haven't really been all that close.
The opener,
Yeah.
Colorado.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was in a snowstorm.
Against 10 men.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, that
they
was,
gave up a stoppage time equalizer, I believe.
that was a
Guys.
Andre Shinashiki.
Pour it on.
Uh-huh. Yeah, this is a big game. It's an interesting game. It's at Matt-Free, which is all the more interesting because that's
Yeah.
where Caleb Porter won his MLS Cup with Portland.
Oh my God.
So many
Come back
narratives.
Full circle.
Parallels.
So many circles that were going round and round and round in. Speaking of those sorts of things, DP rumors with the Timbers. Circling and circling, waiting and waiting.
Yeah, it feels like these have been going on for a
They
while.
have been. You've been a key contributor there. Brian Fernandez, Necaxa. He is a right winger / maybe forward who's got 18 goals in 30 for the Liga MX side. And now, once again, after the rumors popped out, people are saying, yeah, this could happen. It's going to happen. What do you know, Sam?
Yeah, I
What do you
mean,
know?
it sure looks like it's trending that way, but Portland have been trending towards signings for DP strikers in the past. So until it's done, it's not done. I know, terrific insight
Yeah,
right there.
well done.
But
That's why he's here.
Fernandez certainly fits the profile, right? He's 24, I believe, doing really well in Mexico. He would be in that kind of, $6, $7, $8 million range in terms of transfer fee, most likely. You bring him in, he can play on the wing, he can play at striker. He gives you a little bit of versatility in that way. Maybe Jeremy Ibobise isn't relegated to the bench forever. Although, if you're signing a guy that's got 18 goals in 30 games in Mexico,
Maybe.
that's okay too. And yeah, so it looks like it's trending that way. And I wouldn't be surprised if Portland made other additions as well. Maybe not this window, but certainly in the summer, we could maybe even see some TAM used. So we'll see.
Interesting. Look, we got to talk about Thierry Henry at some point, so I'm going to have to kill the rest of our ESPN Plus games here. Toronto, Minnesota is good on Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. You should check that out.
You're not going to let
Montreal.
Doyle talk about Philly and Montreal?
No, Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. That's also good.
You should walk off.
New England Red Bulls. Very interesting. I want to see what happens with Bradley Wright Phillips, 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. Let's talk to Cristian Roldan, though. He's on the line now. Cristian, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us on your off day. Can I just say that again? Thank you. What are you doing today?
I'm actually making a planner box, which is pretty exciting. I'm trying to be more handy.
Wow. I'm glad now that I asked that question because I like to believe I have a green thumb myself. What's going in the planner box? How are you building the planner box? Is this your first experience with woodworking?
I believe it's my first. YouTube is my best friend, and obviously plants. Alex and I, my brother, are going to head out and find some nice plants for them.
So is this like subsistence gardening? You going with food, or are we just going flowers and the like?
We're just going for pretty. We're hoping that the planter box looks pretty with some nice flowers. So hopefully that's the case.
Okay, no more planter questions, man. Who's your favorite brother, Jordan Morris or Alex Roldan?
Ooh, that's tough. I'm definitely going to see them tomorrow. So hopefully they don't hear this, but. I don't know. Alex has been there longer, so I'm going to go with Alex.
That works, man. Longevity. At this point, you've been in Seattle for a long time. We'll talk about LAFC in just a second. A big game coming up on Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern on FS1. But you now are without kind of your partner in the midfield for all those years, a rock in Ozzie Alonso, who's in Minnesota. How has your role changed with Ozzie's departure? Kind of walk us through it.
Well, Ozzie was a tremendous player for us, and he still is. But obviously him and Gustav are a little bit different. Gustav is a true number 6, a old-fashioned number 6. Ozzie is a little bit of a hybrid where he is very good on the ball, dribbles out of pressure, plays some direct passing. And Gustav is a little bit more, central, very simple. And so my role kind of changes because Ozzie would do a lot of the legwork to get the ball from, the defense to the offense. And now I'm finding myself playing a little bit deeper and then at times playing as a number 10. So I'm kind of fluctuating between a number 6 and a number 10 and as a number 8. And I think it's been really well for us. It's worked extremely well. Nico comes down a little bit deeper as well. So I think it's a little bit more interactive between the three of us. And I think that's been the biggest difference this year.
Cristian, I have another question about Ozzy. He scores the first goal at Allianz Field last weekend. And, this is a guy, he doesn't have a ton of goals in his career, but what was your reaction when you saw that? And how happy were you for him?
Well, I'm extremely happy for him. I heard he had the first yellow card as well, which makes me even happier. But that was a typical Ozzy goal. I mean, you see that so many times in training. His ability to strike the ball is tremendous. And when he scores really good goals. So really happy for him. What an exciting game. What an exciting opener for Allianz Stadium and also for Minnesota. They're an exciting team to watch, and hopefully we can do well against them. But really, really excited for Ozzy.
Cristian, how much soccer do you watch? Because I hear you talking about kind of the positionality in the midfield for the Sounders, and Greg Berhalter saying, hey, he picked up our system really, really quick, and people call you cerebral. So I'm curious where that comes from for you.
Well, I watch way too much soccer. I think probably just as much as Matt Doyle. Seriously, because I think there's a little bit of a sickness. My girlfriend, my brother, I think my teammates get a little bit mad that I know a lot about the MLS specifically. But I try to watch almost every game, and then obviously when I play, it makes it difficult to watch those games. But do my best to watch the condensed highlights if I can't watch the full game. So on watching the TV quite a bit, I mean that's my time to relax and the time to really study and enjoy my free time.
Do you watch with your cats though?
No, that I dislike cats. So
wow,
I need to find a cat that is affectionate.
Just stick with dogs. That was an appropriately creepy way to ask that question, by the way, Doyle.
How much?
Every single cat has been really bad towards me. So I'm gonna have to get a cat to change my mind.
I was gonna say I don't know if that's cat's fault or maybe your fault.
I think that's a positive reflection.
That's like a debatable thing here. We have Matt Doyle sitting right here. I mean, I'm guessing then that you've read a few of the Armchair Analyst columns. What's your impression of Matt Doyle?
Here we go.
I have to ask.
Well, Matt, I really like what you're writing about us Sounders right now. I want that to continue. Mm-hmm. We do have pretty good fans, and I'm sure they're reading it, so they're just as happy right now. But I'll keep it that way.
22 wins in 25 games in the regular season.
20 wins.
20 wins.
Two losses.
Oh, thank you for correcting me there.
And 3 draws.
That is not what
games.
you told him before.
But it is historic. It is historic, Cristian. What is it about what's happened since Raul Ruiz-Diaz came in, since last summer? I mean, you guys have just been, in large part, unstoppable when it comes to results.
I think we're cohesive as a unit. I mean, we're defending as a team, we're pressing as a team, and at times, we're sporadic because we're so excited to go forward and score. But I think we're playing together, and that's the most important thing. I mean, we're scoring goals. We understand that even on the road that we can score goals, and I think that belief, that cohesiveness, changes the game because we know how difficult it is to play on the road here in the MLS. And if you know that you're going to score a goal, you have the confidence, you have the belief that you're going to win the game. And so hopefully we can do that this Sunday against LAFC.
What have you learned from Nico Lodeiro? I want to ask you about Gonzalo Pineda as well, because he's more of kind of behind the scenes now. But every time we talk about Nico, every time somebody else does, it's about his effect in the locker room, whether verbally or by example. What have you learned from him?
Well, I learned that DPs can work harder than every single player on the team. This guy is a machine. I'm really proud of him. He shows such good leadership, a great example for us young guys. He works so hard. I mean, his first touch is incredible. His ability to, track guys down. I mean, this guy is such a complete player, and he always finds ways to affect the game. Gonzalo, a little bit different, a little bit deeper in positioning, but his body positioning was tremendous. I mean, he was so tactical and technical with his first touch, driving forward, when to play it forward, when to be direct, when to keep the ball. I mean, these two guys are great examples. Obviously, they're both lefty, but it's really keen for me to learn from these guys.
With Alonso in there as well, that's quite the trio for you to pick up on. I was looking at the stats, and I know this because we've been doing this for years now, but more than 100 games in Major League Soccer. You feel like a one of the guys that's going to be there in that best 11 conversation every year at some point here. But I remember draft day, and I remember looking at the Seattle Sounders draft table when they drafted you 16th, and nobody thought you were going to fall down that far. You ever think about that? Do you ever think about how you felt on that day? Does it ever motivate you?
Yeah, it drives me every day. I mean, I tend to remind myself quite a bit that 15 other teams really passed up on me. And there are teams that we see pretty frequently. So for me, you know, I obviously have a chip on my shoulder, and I've felt that way even coming out of high school. I didn't get the praise that I thought I deserved. I didn't get the scholarships that I thought I deserved. But I felt like if I improved that, I could really make a name for myself. And so even with the national team, you know, I think this is my time to really establish myself, try to make the biggest impact that I can internationally and fit the system. So hopefully I can do so. But, you know, the 16th pick still hurts me, but I wouldn't want it any other way. It was perfect the way it landed towards me.
Cristian, you chose to re-sign this offseason with the Sounders and do a new deal, extend, really commit your future to them. I don't believe you were out of contract. You can correct me if I'm wrong there, but what went into that decision to really put the next few years of your career under control with the Sounders and really commit to Seattle?
Well, number one, I felt that I can play for the U.S. national team and also play for Seattle. I think people have this stigma that you have to play in Europe to be on the national team. But I think that stigma is kind of changing. I think the league is getting so much better. And then Seattle specifically, we're a pretty darn good team. And if I can contribute in that way each and every day and improve, that's extremely important to me because I want to improve each and every day, each and every practice. And I feel like the coaching staff, the setup, the way they play is perfect for me. So I really do think that I can get better, and those, you know, couple things really drove my decision.
TAM and American players, Canadian players as well, has been a big talking point on this show and around the league. I imagine then you feel like you got the contract that you deserve.
Yeah, and you know, you want a team that sees value in your in myself as a player, and I felt that. I felt the importance. You know, they gave me a 5-year contract, which is extremely rare, you know, for a player like myself. And, you know, Seattle thinks of me very highly, and you know, I can't complain. So hopefully I can show them my value and you know, the worth that they put in me.
And Cristian, let's talk a little U.S. men's national team. Greg Berhalter has said you grasped the system very quickly. What do you see as your role being on his team?
Well, I hope to be a starter at one point, but obviously there are very, very good players in the midfield, very young, quality players, so it'll be difficult. But I do think that if you can play the system, if you can play your part, you'll make the other 11 guys around, or 10 guys around you so much better. I mean, you just make the team so much more complete. And if you have guys that buy into the system, understand their role, it makes the team so much easier to play with. So that my goal is to be a starter. Obviously, I have guys like Weston, Tyler, Christian Pulisic, but I do feel like I can compete with these guys. And so my goal is to become the starter, but if I need to help these guys learn the system a little bit more, then I'm happy to do so, because what's more important to me is having the team succeed and you know, obviously me be part of it, but having the team come first.
Cristian, how often are you in touch with Greg Berhalter? Does he give you benchmarks that he wants you to hit? over the course of a couple of months and say, you know what, you're on the bubble for the Gold Cup, or you know what, you're in the roster for the Gold Cup. You just got to take care of this, this, and this. Like, how explicit does he make it?
He doesn't make it too explicit, but the one thing that I absolutely love, is they always have their coaches like rotate to the games. So Terry Boss has been to 2 of my games. He's talked to me. We've had like FaceTime meetings about our previous U.S. games. Also, apparently they have meetings about every single one of our games on the weekend, every Monday. So they're in constant communication, and they don't want to, be too on top of us. But the fact that they're watching, number one, they're coming to live games, because it really changes the way they see the game. And also, my role right here with the Sounders is very similar to the role that they have me playing with the national team. So they can see the movements that I make, and for example, my goal that I scored against Toronto, that honestly came from the national team. I wouldn't be in that position if it wasn't for the national team. So those are the things that add up, and they want to see, and hopefully I can do so.
That's pretty fascinating to hear all that. I want to rewind it back a second. You referred to yourself as one of the young guys earlier in the segment, but you're a veteran now. And we see with Tacoma Defiance and kids like Daniel Leyva coming up that really young guys are coming through the academy and through the USL team for the Sounders. Have you taken on a bit of a mentorship role with them, or is that something you're still leaving to guys like Ladero or Chad Marshall, or the really old guys?
No, I think I have a better connection with these younger guys, because I definitely could relate to them a little bit more because of the age gap. For example, Danny Leyva, a guy that is so fearless when he comes into training with us. I mean, he's capable of playing in a first-team game, but the expectations are as a professional, to not hype up a player, right? But this guy is very good, but I want to be able to humble him down and keep him, sane, because it is difficult for these young guys to come into first-team training and think that they made it already.
He nutmeg you yet?
Well, he has been professional, but he hasn't played in the first-team game. And I think, once you step into a first-team game, and continue to do well, that's when I would say, all right, you're doing pretty well for yourself. You're going to exceed expectations and hopefully do so. But yes, the mentorship is hopefully there. I'm talking to these kids each and every day as they come into training, saying hello, doing all the little things to make the biggest difference for the team.
We're going to get to LAFC. Next question, final question. Let you get to your off day and, of course, those very fine planters that you're working on, Christian.
Rave green thumbs.
Yeah, I mean, I would go tulips. I'm a big tulip guy. Just want to throw that out there. Clint Dempsey, the legend. I need your best Clint Dempsey story that obviously you're willing to tell. But if you can, give us one that will kind of stick with the listeners and ourselves.
So when I went to when I was at the University of Washington, I went to the Seattle Sounders practice when I was about 18, 19, and I believe there was an international break, and Clint didn't go to the United States because I think he was dealing with an injury or coming back. And so I was training with him, and I tried to intercept the ball, and I fouled him. And this is me being at 18, 19, scared out of my mind because I fouled Clint Dempsey. I hurt him. Well, I didn't hurt him entirely, but I hit him pretty hard. And I'm on the ground, and I say, "Oh crap, what is he going to say?" And he stands up, picks me up, and he says, "Damn, I didn't know I was running into a rock." And that was like the best thing that he could have said. I was so nervous. I was sweating. I thought I was going to get kicked out of training. But the fact that he turned around and said that, I'm so thankful.
I think we got a little nickname here. I think The Rock could actually work for
Rock
you.
Roldan.
Christian the Rock Roldan.
I like that.
The Rock might be taken.
Right. I mean, there's kind of a big name guy with The Rock
Have
already.
your lawyers check it out.
But we'll figure this out. We'll clear it for you. All right, Christian? Before we get you out here, LAFC is the game that everybody's waiting for this weekend on Sunday. You said it yourself. You watch a ton of this league. What have you seen from them? They've been a juggernaut so far.
Well, avoid the ball getting to Carlos Vela. He's on fire. That's number one. Number two is when he gets the ball, avoid Rossi, avoid Christian, avoid Diomande running in behind or receiving the ball. I mean, this is a team that works off Carlos Vela. So we need to, number one, focus on him. And number two, I think this is going to be an open game. These are two teams that are willing to play. So if we can defend well on the counterattack, I think that'll be key for us. So we'll really see, what kind of lineup they come up with. But I expect a pretty open game. Two teams that are willing to play, and the fact that two teams are really going to have to go at it. Number one against number two. So it's going to be exciting, and hopefully we can come out on top.
This weekend, 7 p.m. Eastern in LA. Bank of California Stadium, LAFC, Seattle, and FS1 at 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure you'll have some family there, Christian. Good luck, man, with the Sounders. Good luck with the U.S. Good luck with your planter box. Wood glue is your best friend. Just going to throw it out there, okay?
Appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Big thanks to Cristian Roldan. Breaking news on Extra Time. Christian is not a cat guy, but he is maybe a Matt Doyle guy.
I mean, he was my favorite player in the league for a second right there when he was talking about all the content I produce.
Yes.
I sense he respects that.
It's all about Matt.
But then when he said he's not a cat person, dead to me.
Dead to you, huh? It's over.
That's it.
Two guys that aren't yet dead to us, but might be if they stay in Frisco. David Goss, Bobby Warshaw, there for GA Cup. They contributed this segment, which I'm told is epic, but we shall see.
All from Frisco. That was worse than the New York. David Goss and Bobby Warshaw. Thanks, Andrew, for sending this one to us, the real stars of Extra Time Radio. We are sorry that we are not there for you, but there are busy things happening. The Premier Youth Soccer Championships. Andrew wanted us to do about 90 seconds. This is where Weston McKinney came through. This is where Brendan Aronson, Paxton Pomical made their names. Andrew, you're about to get a 37-minute segment from Frisco, Texas. GA Cup time is on, Bobby. We've had a lot of fun so far.
Yeah, it's been an amazing event, and we hear all year about how premier this is and how extraordinary it is. And the only thing I can say is that it's lived up to it. The games have been exciting, the play has been great, and there's been star players that have stepped up.
The wind is blowing, the sun is out, it's rained, we've gotten it all. We've had dramatic late games winners from these teams. We'll talk about which teams have done well, but this, as I said, Weston McKinney, Brendan Aronson, Paxton Pomical, this is about star building for these kids. It's about seeing the next generation come through for the U.S., for Mexico, for Canada, and in MLS, and we've seen a lot of the guys we wanted to step up.
It is, David. You hear often about how talented these kids are and how they're stars in the regular games, but you don't really know how someone good or how good someone is. You don't really know if they're a star until they play in the toughest games.
Yep.
It's one thing when you're playing MLS academies, development academies, and winning 3 or 4-0, but all of a sudden you take on the top team from Denmark. You take on the top team from Liga MX. That is really the challenge that says what kind of player you are.
Daniel Leyva just signed, a 15-year-old, the youngest signing in Seattle Sounders history. And Bobby, they played against River Plate in the quarterfinals here, and he ran the midfield against a team that is perennially the best squad in the Generation Adidas Cup, covering ground, feeding balls, moving the game, and then Alfonso Ocampo Chavez, 3 goals, 3 game winners, playing already for Tacoma Defiance. The Seattle team is loaded with talent, and those 2 kids look ready to go.
And the best part about Leyva is he morphed his game depending on what the minute said. In the first half, he was more of a destroyer. He was playing alone as a single defensive midfielder, and he wasn't doing anything special, but he was making gritty tackles, he was covering ground, he was blowing up the opposition's attacks. Then in the second half, he actually started to relieve pressure, he started to make smarter passes, he started to play some nice diagonal balls, and he changed his game throughout the minutes depending on what it needed.
Yes, that's Bobby gushing about a central midfielder shifting his hips and playing that ball. Not just the Seattle Sounders, there's other teams that have performed well, stars that have stood out. Kobe Hernandez-Foster, the captain for the LA Galaxy, can play left back, can play left center back, flies up the wing, strikes the ball as hard as anyone in this tournament. And another fullback that stood out to me, Jonathan Gomez. For FC Dallas fans, he's your next guy. He's going to be Reggie Cannon's partner. It's going to be left and right, those 2 flying forward for FC Dallas.
Are we going to tell him the guarantee that came out this week? Did you hear the guarantee?
No.
I'm pretty sure I heard Ben, the research bear, say that Kobe Foster might be able to start at the Galaxy left back right now.
Ben Bear standing off to our right. He's got you, by the way, on MLSsoccer.com. They've got stories about all these stars, keep you up to date with standings, scores as these games go along. The championship games, 3 of them now with the U15s in their first year in this tournament, will be on Saturday on Twitch. You can search MLS or MLS and the number 2 for those games. Bobby, the U15s, first time out. LAFC are the favorites. They've performed well already. What do you see from the idea of adding that to this competition?
I love it because we talk about it feels like we talk about CCL all the time. But what we continuously seen is the MLS teams make it far, and then something happens, right? It's partially the fact that the Liga MX teams are incredibly talented, but there's also this mental and emotional element. Like, we would see SKC missing passes that they make against the Philadelphia Union or the LA Galaxy all the time. There was something about that situation that threw them off a little bit. But you can fix that by games like this. So all of a sudden, you're not going down to Monterrey or Tigres or Toluca for the first time when you're 27, 28, or 30. If you're doing it when you're 15, all of a sudden, you know what it feels like. You know how it feels to see that name on that jersey across from you or that stadium, way earlier.
U.S. national team fans, a lot to watch. Mexican national team fans, a lot to watch here. Also for Canada, Jaden Russell-Rose had a phenomenal tournament for TFC. This team, Jaden Nelson, and Russell Rowe having phenomenal tournaments for TFC. And then on the flip side for Vancouver, this is their first time at this competition. They weren't a part of qualifying in the past. They've come in, they're one of the best teams in the group stage. They've got a star you can't miss. Chitu Odunze, the goalkeeper, at 6'7", Ben. 6'7", 15 years old. He's technically eligible for Canada, for England, but right now it looks like he's going to play for the U.S.
And that group is nuts. Vancouver Whitecaps, 4 wins, 12 points. Columbus Crew, 4 wins, 12 points. Monterrey, 3 wins, 9 points.
Josh Wolf's son scoring goals for Columbus Crew.
Chafamba in the middle, Aiden Brown in the middle for Crew. And by the time you're listening to this, that'll be over. But it's something that's been bonkers for the last 3 days, seeing these teams win and put up goals and try and win on goal differential.
This is my 5th time doing this competition. I've had so much fun doing it. This is the best tournament I've seen. The level of play from the bottom has been the highest, the highest floor, and then at the top you look at these international teams come in and they bring a level of physicality, and as you said, that gamesmanship, understanding big moments that a lot of MLS teams don't experience very often, but you're seeing the Seattle Sounders understand those moments. You're seeing DC United and Columbus Crew understand those moments. It's been really fun to watch. I think this has been the best tournament we've had so far.
It has. And unfortunately, I got Ben over here telling us we have to wrap up. I guess Weeby's calling him
producer
at the moment.
Ben. All right, Andrew. Here, now you can go back and talk about ghost stories or your kid or whatever it is you want. Although I am excited to see Cam Weeby at the Generation Adidas Cup 2029. Have a good one, guys.
For sure, not a center mid though.
Oh, definitely a center mid. Come on, man. I got a number 8 in the mix here. Those two.
Have you ever seen them happier?
I don't think I have. In heaven, I mean, we have to do some we might have to do some testing there.
Just put Dave and Bobby around some teens and let them go.
Good
They're
Lord.
glowing. They're just
The
glowing.
amount of energy.
I get it though, because this is not a surprise to anyone. I've been watching all those games. I've been sitting at home with the cats, with 2 Twitch streams going, watching all of those games. The progress that MLS academies have made in the last 5 years, even in the last 3 years, is stunning. To watch Seattle U17 Academy team beat River Plate is stunning. NYCFC beat Flamengo, who won this tournament last year. That is stunning. LA Galaxy just about played West Ham off the field yesterday. Of course they blew it, but it happens. But West Ham is the best academy in England. And the Galaxy, without their best U16 player, who's already a professional, doing that this year is stunning. It's awesome to watch. I don't blame those guys. You guys are just bringing dark clouds everywhere. Let Gasman and Warshaw be happy for once, okay? Because they're in their own personal heaven.
I agree. I'm not trying to say they shouldn't be happy. I'm just saying.
No, it's just they're usually
just
not that shiny.
really
I mean,
no.
there is like a Frisco glow.
Yes,
just
that's the Frisco glow, baby. That's
And by the way, shout out to my DC United U17s, Ted Di-Pietro. Oh my, he murdered a man.
APB out on him.
Oh my God, he destroyed that entire Ulsan Hyundai. I forget what the name of the team was. He destroyed their entire defense.
Twice. The same center back.
Oh,
twice.
my God.
It was pretty. You probably have seen the highlight. If not, go check out MLS on Twitter. By the way, you were yanking at your jersey here that we're all wearing, and in case you're listening to this on the pod, we're wearing the parlays, and they are incredible. It's the best material for a jersey that I've ever encountered here. It is intercepted plastic waste, which they should now make all jerseys, I believe, out of this. Basically, it's made from recycled marine plastic waste, intercepted from beaches and coastal communities before it reached the ocean. So these are for sale. They may be sold out online, but they may be in your team's club shop. So try to find one if you can, because I really think these are cool. You'll see every team in MLS wearing them this weekend in Week 8. Okay, it is mailbag time. We dropped the ball, dropped the trash bag, dropped whatever you want to call it. Our MLS Fantasy League has been pretty fun this year. We had 2 winners here, Week 6 and Week 7, that we just spaced on giving them signed jerseys. Below expectations, Lee won.
That's a great one.
Yeah, one in Week 6. And FC Star Fox.
FC Star Fox is in it every single week.
This one is for below expectations.
All right, rummaging.
Yeah.
Rummaging.
Do your job. Get in that trash bag, Sam Stejskal.
Oh,
Man United fan gets a Diego Rossi jersey.
That's pretty good.
That's the second
legit.
Diego Rossi jersey we've given out so far this year.
LAFC.
And
I'm
for
wearing
FC
LAFC.
Star Fox, what do we have?
Let's rummage.
What do we have?
I like to rummage. Let's rummage around.
Okay, he's a rummager.
we
And
got
a
the
Kai
Rapids?
Kamara Rapids
Kai
kit
Kamara.
signed.
Nice.
God bless
The legend. One day that could be for the
Gotta tell you,
all-time goal
I
scorer
love
in
the
MLS
Rapids
history.
colors, man.
I do too.
I love that jersey.
Yeah, classy.
Really do. Okay, speaking of mercurial strikers who score a lot of goals, we didn't get an email about this one, but I'm going to invent it. Thierry Henry to Red Bulls was a thing. Sky Sports came out and said he is in talks to take the head coaching job, which it seemed strange to those of us who know that, Chris Armas just got the job last year and, won Supporters Shield. And while it hasn't been
signed a deal last year,
smooth sailing right now, probably not going to get rid of him. So, thankfully we have Sam here who poured cold water on this thing. And
it's my favorite thing to
How
do.
much cold water are you pouring on that? Like all
So
the cold
much
water or
no, I mean
ice bath? Or
maybe
just
Thierry
like
Henry ends up in the Red Bulls front office or
Ooh.
something like that. I don't know, but
Okay.
I don't think he's going to be the head coach.
Maybe coaching elsewhere in New York.
Doyle, stirring it up.
I don't think that's a real thing, but I like to
No,
debate it up.
Twellman was on this.
He's friends with Patrick
was
Vieira.
on this program on Monday, saying that the powers that be for City Football Group have been in New York for a while, assessing what's happening from a competitive standpoint, and I don't think it's a stretch to assume that Dome Torrent has a lot more pressure on him right now than.
Well,
And
the nice thing is that he did so well at Monaco that it should just be a seamless transition.
Oh, you
Alexander
guys.
Golovin said he'd get so frustrated with players in training that he'd become abusive. He'd come and show us how to play, then get even angrier and start playing himself and say, "Take the ball off me." That's what he would scream.
Why don't
who
we have?
among
I
us
love
We should
that.
have
done that?
Keel. We
That's
should
so
have
great.
Keel for
Take this
segment
mic off me.
because Keel was a teammate of Thierry Henry, and he has some
Oh, he's-
wonderful
Need
practice.
some
His stories
extra
are
balls for all the balls
fire.
getting kicked over. Before we get out of here, we have to talk about what former DPs should or should not, or we'd love to see come back as the head coaches for their former teams in honor of Thierry. So I'm going to just throw out there and stay with the Red Bulls. Rafa Marquez is coming back, baby. He's the head coach of the Red Bulls. And that rivalry with LA Galaxy is going to be wild because Landon Donovan is now the head coach of the Galaxy.
Wow.
And oh boy, the playoff matchup is going to be great.
They already have a DP head coach, former DP head
True.
coach.
Guillermo.
Yeah.
Yes. Keno is going to be an assistant for that team.
Oh, yes.
Keena's
yes.
gonna have
That,
to-
that.
Robbie Keane is not going to
Come
assist
on.
Landon.
Come on.
And he's going to have to
Quit
wear
crushing
just,
my dreams.
like swimsuit trunks and just do a lot of chanting. Robbie Keno for the old time. I also have Cuauhtemoc Blanco taking over the Fire. By the way,
Yes.
all of this
Hell
is
yeah.
completely
Yes.
made up.
Yes.
I have Neri Castillo taking over the.
Whoa! Fireworks during his first game, and
That's
then
good.
he'll never
What do you
ever
got,
play
Susan?
again.
What do you-
Give me Pirlo. Give me Pirlo all day, just so I can be in the presence of Pirlo.
I was thinking more of a triumvirate with David Villa, Lampard, and Pirlo.
okay. I
A little
mean,
bit of a
I'm
Roman
not,
Empire situation.
We've tried it before.
I don't hate that.
Run it back.
Why not? Why
Do
not?
I get a pick?
Sure.
Eddie Johnson,
For which team, though?
Orlando.
Oh.
He's developing the kids down there already. I don't know if you guys follow him on Instagram. He's
Yes,
got
we
some
do.
like talented 7-year-olds.
He
works
does.
with.
No, and
Better
he worked
feet
with
than
Christian
me, for
Pulisic.
sure.
I mean, I'm actually copying those for
Yeah,
Cam.
he like lives there, and like Eddie Johnson, great quote. He'd be fun, man.
Oh, Eddie
sign
Johnson
him
would be
up.
a lot of
He's
fun.
got the homegrown connection
Would
ready
be fun.
already.
I absolutely hope that happens.
Jermaine Jones for the Revs.
The Revs.
For the Revs. Jermaine Jones for the Revs. Didier Drogba for Montreal. Again, all
that's a
completely
good
fake.
one.
Yeah.
But I think the most obvious that, would be both interesting, maybe less so than some of these.
Annabelle Chala.
No.
Eric Astley.
No. Good try.
Mustafa Jarju.
Oh, innocent.
Oh, boy. Marcelo Gallardo for DC.
That would be amazing.
Yes.
That would be amazing, huh?
For those who don't know, Marcelo Gallardo was a DC United
a hot
DP
second.
for about 10 games
For a
in
hot second.
2008.
I mean, he's going to barely beat out Hamdi Salihi for this job.
What about Sergio
and Gallardo
McDonald?
is currently the manager for River Plate
Yeah.
down in
They
Argentina.
only won what?
He and
Copa Libertadores? That's it? That's
yeah,
all?
he and Scalotto have a pretty great rivalry from the last 5 years, from the last 25 years. He's an excellent manager.
DeMarcus
He's
Beasley,
fantastic.
player coach.
I'm in for
That's
that one.
enough.
I'm in for
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one.
yeah,
Make
yeah,
up
yeah,
some
yeah,
of these
yeah.
for us. Send them
Yeah.
along 401-206-0MLS. Extra time at MLS.
Bring Gallardo to
soccer.com.
MLS.
Thank you to Christian Roldan
Eduardo
for
Coudet
joining
as
us. We
well.
hope the best
You need
for
a
you
legend.
and your planters.
Federico Pupo.
And thank you to Sam Stejskal.
Thank you, Weeby.
I will
Yeah.
remember.
Oh, no, not again.
Again?
No, no
This
more.
is the
We're outta
8th
here.
time.
We're out of here.
No.
We'll see you on Monday, everybody. Enjoy week 8.